In the 1980s, the biggest advantage a fighter jet could have was speed. Today, one of the most advanced fighters ever built can be slower in a turn than jets from decades earlier. And it doesn't matter, because speed was never really the point anymore. This aircraft can appear to enemy radar as something the size of a golf ball, see in every direction at once, including straight through its own floor, and share everything it sees with an entire formation of other jets instantly. It comes in 3 completely different physical forms, one of which can land like a helicopter. So what actually makes this aircraft different from every fighter that came before it? The answer has less to do with how it flies, and everything to do with how much it knows. The F-35 Lightning II is one of the most expensive and most debated aircraft programs in modern military history, and also one of the most misunderstood. Most explanations focus on a single headline feature. It's stealthy, or it's expensive, or it comes in different versions. But none of those facts on their own explain why air forces around the world redesigned their entire approach to air combat around this aircraft. In this video, we'll break down what actually makes the F-35 different, piece by piece, starting with the problem older fighters couldn't solve, then working through how its stealth shaping, sensor fusion, 3 variants, and network data sharing all fit together into a single design philosophy. By the end, you'll understand not just what the F-35 can do, but why modern air forces decided that seeing and sharing information matters more than speed or firepower alone. For most of the jet age, fighter aircraft were judged on 3 things: how fast they could fly, how hard they could turn, and how far they could see an enemy before being seen themselves. Faster engines, sharper turns, longer range radar — that was the arms race that defined air combat for decades. But by the late 20th century, radar technology had gotten so good that being fast or maneuverable stopped being enough. If an enemy radar could spot you from 100 miles out, superior speed just meant you got shot down faster. The real advantage was shifting towards something harder to see, not being detected in the first place. That shift created a new kind of problem. Stealth aircraft that came before, like the F-117, were built almost entirely around hiding from radar, at the cost of speed, weapons load, and dogfighting ability. Meanwhile, air forces still needed jets that could strike ground targets, defend against other aircraft, launch from aircraft carriers, and even land like a helicopter, all without giving away their position. No single existing aircraft could do all of that. So instead of building another fast jet or another stealthy jet, engineers set out to design something built from the ground up around an entirely different question. What if the biggest advantage in the sky wasn't how a fighter jet moves, but how much it understands about the battlefield around it? That question is where the F-35 begins. The first thing that sets the F-35 apart is that its stealth isn't an add-on feature. It's baked into the jet's entire shape. Every panel line, every seam, and every intake edge is angled to scatter incoming radar waves away from their source instead of bouncing them straight back. The same way a smooth, angled mirror deflects light instead of reflecting it directly at you. The jet's outer skin is coated in radar-absorbent materials that soak up some of that radar energy and convert it into tiny amounts of heat instead of reflecting it at all. Even small details matter here. Exposed weapons, external fuel tanks, and antennas all create strong radar reflections. So the F-35 carries its missiles and bombs inside enclosed internal weapons bays rather than hanging them under the wings like older fighters. This is also why the F-35 looks different from older jets up close. No sharp right angles, no exposed rivets, carefully aligned panel edges. Each of those choices trades away a small amount of manufacturing simplicity in exchange for a radar signature that can be a fraction the size of a conventional fighter's, but hiding from radar solves only half the problem of modern air combat. A jet this hard to see still needs to know exactly what's happening around it, and that's where the F-35 stops looking like a traditional fighter altogether. Older fighters gave pilots separate systems for radar, infrared tracking, and threat warnings, each one showing its own slice of information on a different screen, leaving the pilot to mentally stitch it all together in the middle of combat. The F-35 does that stitching automatically through a process called sensor fusion. Its AESA radar scans the sky electronically with no moving parts, while a separate infrared camera system called EOTS tracks heat signatures for both air and ground targets. Around the outside of the jet, 6 additional cameras form a system called the Distributed Aperture System, giving 360-degree infrared vision around the entire aircraft, including straight through the floor. All of that data doesn't stay separate. Onboard computers merge every sensor's information into a single, unified picture of the battlefield, then feed it directly into the pilot's helmet-mounted display. Instead of looking down at cockpit instruments, a pilot can look through the floor of the jet and see a real-time view of what's below, as if the aircraft itself were invisible. This turns the F-35 into something closer to a flying sensor platform than a traditional fighter, and that shift in purpose is also why, underneath all of this technology, the aircraft needed to be built in more than one physical form. Different branches of the military need fighters that can operate in very different conditions. Air forces need a jet that can take off from a standard runway. Navies need one that can launch and land on the short, moving deck of an aircraft carrier. And some forces need a jet that can take off and land vertically, without any runway at all, for use on smaller ships or improvised airstrips. Rather than designing 3 unrelated aircraft, the F-35 program built 3 variants around a shared core design and a single Pratt & Whitney F-135 engine. The F-35A is the conventional runway version. The F-35C has strength and landing gear and larger wings for carrier launches and arrested landings. The F-35B is the most unusual. It uses a shaft-driven lift fan, mounted behind the cockpit and powered by the same engine to direct thrust downward for vertical takeoff and landing. Building 3 variants around one shared airframe and engine means pilots, maintainers, and parts can move between programs more easily than juggling 3 completely separate aircraft, while every version still carries the same stealth shaping and sensor fusion described in the last 2 chapters. That shared foundation across services is powerful on its own. But the F-35's biggest advantage only shows up once you stop looking at a single jet and start looking at what happens when many of them fly together. A single stealthy, sensor-packed fighter is valuable. A group of them sharing everything they see, in real time, is a different kind of advantage altogether. The F-35 is built to transmit its sensor picture to other F-35s nearby through a secure data link called MADL. So if one jet spots a threat, every other aircraft in the formation can see it too, without ever using a radar signal that could give their position away. That same networking extends beyond just other F-35s. The aircraft can pass targeting data to ships, ground units, and other aircraft, effectively acting as a forward set of eyes for the rest of a military force, which is part of why it's often described less as a traditional dogfighter and more as a flying quarterback, coordinating what everyone else on the field can see and do. This is the real difference the earlier chapters were building toward. The F-35 isn't defined by any single trait, not its stealth shaping alone, not its sensors alone, not its shared airframe alone. It's the combination of staying hidden, understanding the battlefield in real time, and sharing that understanding instantly with everyone around it that represents the actual shift in how modern air combat works. The old rules of air combat were about who could see the enemy first. The F-35 was built around a newer rule: the side that understands the most, together, usually wins before a single shot is fired. The F-35 isn't remarkable because of one standout feature. It's remarkable because stealth, sensor fusion, shared airframe design, and real-time data sharing were all built to work as a single system. Hiding from radar matters less if you can't also understand the battlefield, and understanding the battlefield matters less if you can't share it instantly with everyone around you. That combination, more than any single number or capability, is what actually changed the rules of modern air combat. If you want more deep dives into the engineering decisions behind the world's most advanced machines, hit subscribe. Beyond How breaks down exactly how and why things work, one machine at a time.